Kylie, I wanted to get your view on this in particular, and that is, he started talking about regime change, urging the Iranian people to rise up and take back their country. But when there's such confusion, how can the Iranian people have any confidence that they can get out in the streets again after they saw tens of thousands of their fellow men and women slaughtered by the Iranian regime just a couple of weeks ago? That's the problem here with America's messaging, isn't it?
Yeah, you've really hit the nail on the head. There's no way that the Iranian people are going to take to the streets in mass protest right now under live fire and bombing and missiles. We saw this last year in the 12-day war that happened between Israel and Iran, that the US entered right at the end to bomb those nuclear facilities. There was no uprising, there were no protests in the streets during the war. People were fleeing for their lives, trying to get out of the capital, Tehran, and shelter somewhere in the countryside. We know that obviously there are no bomb shelters in Iran. That regime hasn't built a single bomb shelter for its civilian population, and they're terrified. What happened, though, was around 6 months later, following that war, there was a mass protest movement. And you mentioned the tens of thousands that were slaughtered in the streets by the regime as a result of that. Whatever happens, I think we can expect, if the regime does reconstitute itself and remain in power, that we will see more unrest, more protests in the future, and that this will become very messy and continue for some time to come. But again, the expectation that they're going to, under live fire, go out and take to the streets is quite ridiculous, frankly.
Kylie, you know all too well, as I said at the beginning, how brutal this regime can be and is. I think America, with Israel, the only two countries that could have done this and had the willingness to do it. On the whole, is this something you entirely support and something the Western world should entirely support?
I don't know whether I support... Look, I support the assassination of the Supreme Leader. He's a nasty character. He's somebody that has the blood of probably hundreds of thousands of people on his hands, and the world is a better place without him in it, absolutely. It's too hard to sort of say at this point whether this war was a good idea or not. Obviously, everything, emerges in the wash-up, and with, retrospectively looking back, we can make that determination. When we're in the thick of it, it's hard to tell. There's a lot of risk and danger here. It still could backfire. If the regime remains in place, are we going to get something even worse than what we had before? You can see from the Iranian response that they're willing to go all out and target anyone in the region that associates with the US, even former allies like Qatar and Oman. So this is a really unpredictable and frankly unhinged regime right now. And what's going to be the wash up of that, we don't know. This is fraught with danger and risk for the Iranian people as well. I mean, innocent people have already died in their hundreds. What could be the blowback from this if the regime remains in place? Whether or not we get some kind of regime change, and I'm struggling to see whether that can be imposed through airstrikes alone, probably will determine how we look back on this war and whether we think it was a good idea or not.
Yeah, we're already seeing mission creep already. Kylie Moore-Gilbert, a pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you.